I'm Julie Goodnight, and this is another safety tip brought to you by the Certified Horsemanship Association. These are my capable assistants, Meg and Ziggy, and today we're here to talk to you about proper adjustment and fitting the martingale to the horse. We're going to talk about the running martingale and the standing martingale today, and you'll see that our horse is tacked up English, and most of us might more commonly relate martingales to English riding, but there are Western counterparts as well. Often we refer to the running martingale on a Western horse as a training fork. You're more likely to see it on younger horses, greener horses. But you also might see a Western horse with a tie down on, for instance, the team roping horse. That's pretty much the Western equivalent of the standing martingale. What's important to keep in mind is whether you're talking about English or Western, running martingale, training forks, standing martingale, or a tie down, the adjustment is always the same for the horse, and it has to do with the horse's ability to safely and properly balance himself using his head and neck. We want to make sure we don't interfere with that. So before I put the martingale on, I just want to kind of check it out and make sure it is at least in the neighborhood of adjustment for this horse. So we have the parts of the running martingale here at the very front. We have two straps here with a ring on the end, and our reins, the right rein is going to go through here and the left rein is going to go through this ring. We have a strap that goes around the neck of the horse to hold the martingale up, and then this bottom piece is going to go between the front legs of the horse and attached to your girth. So my girth is going to go right through the middle of this loop here in between the horse's legs. So before I actually put it on, I want to just check the adjustment, because if I've got to mess around with this buckle here with the bottom adjustment, it's better to do that away from the horse and not bending down underneath the horse's legs while I do it. So I'm just going to simply bring this strap between the legs. I'm going to put it back here and simulate it being around the girth. And then I want to just bring my rings up all the way to the horse's throat here. And I can see that that's pretty much in the ballpark of where we need it adjusted for this horse. So next thing I'm going to do is put the neck strap on. So I can just undo this strap. We're going to go around the neck, underneath the reins. And I want to fasten the neck strap not tight at all. We don't want anything impeding on the horse's neck. But we don't want this strap hanging down. We want it to be touching right here at the base of the neck, where the base of the neck ties into the chest. As I said, we don't want any tightness here. And keep in mind, as the horse lowers her head and reaches forward, this part of her neck will expand a little bit. So I've got a little bit of room in there. I can put all my fingers up there, but it's not hanging down. The next thing I'm going to do is run the girth through the loops. So I'm going to carefully unfasten the girth here, being careful to steady the saddle, not let go of the girth, but hang on to it. So I bring the strap between the legs and the girth through the strap. I want to center this strap as well as I can, right between the horse's front legs as I bring the girth up and reattach. Now keep in mind that before we mount a rider, and probably 5 or 10 minutes into my ride, I'm going to be checking the girth again to make sure it's adequately tight. But for now, I just need to snug it up to keep the saddle secure while we continue with our adjustment. So now I've got the girth attached, and it's right at about the right length to be all the way back here, to not be hanging down too low. But I also, again, I don't want it tight or pressing into the horse's chest, but I don't want a loop hanging down either. And then to make sure the rings are properly adjusted, we want to make sure that we have enough length to go all the way up to the throat here of the horse. So I'm just going to adjust this neck strap a little bit, and I can see our rings are coming all the way up to the throat there. So that's going to work fine. Now remember, the job of the running martingale is not to keep the horse's head low. The job of the running martingale is to prevent the horse's head from getting dangerously high. So we don't need it to kick in until the horse's mouth gets above the withers. So that's why we want to leave plenty of slack. It is not the job of this martingale to put downward pressure on the horse. That would not be good for the horse's performance at all. We just want it to come into play when the head gets up too high. So I've got the adjustment where I want it. So the next thing and the final thing I can do is run my reins through the rings. Now, it is super important when you're using the running martingale that the reins always have rein stops. So that's what this little piece right here is. These are made out of rubber. They might also be made out of leather. And they're just a little slot. There's a slot in the middle here that allows the stopper to run up the rein like so. And the rein stop is super important in the running martingale for safety. And I'm just gonna rebuckle my reins here and I'll show you. As the horse's head comes up, this ring will run up the rein like so, but it'll only come to here and then the stopper will stop it. That's important for safety, is because without this stopper, it's possible for this ring to get caught up on one of the pieces of hardware here, and then the horse is actually stuck with that pressure. So we want to make sure those rein stops just prevent that ring from getting snagged up on any bumpy part of the reins that's up here. So that's our running martingale. That's how it's going to look with the rider up. Again, it's important to make sure you get the proper adjustment for both the horse's safety, comfort, and performance. Now, keep in mind that with the running martingale, I can't just take the reins off over the horse's head and then lead him, because he would get a really confusing signal there. So if you've got your horse outfitted in a running martingale and you need to lead the horse somewhere, you're going to either need to unbuckle the reins, pull them through the rings, or put a lead rope around the horse or a halter around the neck or something and lead some other way. But you can't really lead them by just pulling the reins over the horse's head. So just undo your martingale if you need to lead the horse. Now the standing martingale has just a single piece coming forward leading to the noseband or cavesson of the horse. And so we've got the strap going to the noseband, the strap around the neck, and basically the same type of strap that goes between the legs, and then my girth is going to go through here. So I want to just take that ballpark measurement. So I'll bring this center part right to the center of the horse's chest, and I want to come back and make sure I have enough length here to go completely around the girth. If I need the martingale to go longer or shorter, I can adjust it with this buckle right here. I think that looked pretty good. So I'll hold it here where it'll be attached to the girth. And then I want to just kind of follow the neck all the way up and make sure I've got enough slack to get to the noseband there. And I think this looks pretty good. We might have to do some minute adjustments once it's on. With a ballpark adjustment then, I'm going to attach it around the neck. Make sure I go through both keepers. Now I'm going to center this. I want the loop around the neck and the strap from cavesson to girth come together. Should be right here at the base of the neck where the bottom of the neck ties into the chest. That looks pretty good to me. Again, this strap does not need to be tight. There should be a little bit of room in here, but we don't want anything hanging down in a loop. So I'm gonna unfasten my girth, hang on to the end of it, run this strap between the legs. It's a good idea to get in the habit of always facing forward when you're reaching down underneath the horse. If she were to startle, if she were to kick, I'd way rather take that kick on my backside than on my head. So facing forward when you reach under the horse is always a good idea. So I'm centering, I've got the girth running through the loop, centering it between the horse's legs, and then we'll come back and fasten our girth. Now I'm gonna check the strap. I've got a good distance here Again, it's not tight on her chest, but it's not hanging down either. Next, I'm going to unfasten the noseband, also called the cavesson, and I'm gonna run this little loop through the cavesson and reattach the cavesson. I don't want the cavesson tight on the nose. I would like to have about 2 fingers underneath the jaw, so she doesn't need extra tightness on her nose. And then I want to work this loop of the standing martingale right back to the center of this cavesson. And now, to make sure this is properly adjusted, I should be able to bring this strap all the way up to the horse's throat, like so. And so you'll see that by having that enough slack to come all the way up to the throat of the horse, that it leaves the standing martingale somewhat loose here. This allows the horse to use her head as needed, to leverage her own balance. It's really important that the horse has the balance of the head, and it's only really going to come into the play when she really sticks her nose out there or really sticks it up high. So for the most part, this martingale strap or tie down, if it was a Western horse, the same, you check the adjustment the same way. Make sure that the horse has enough freedom to move their head, to balance properly, but it will come into play when the horse's head gets too high or the nose gets too far out. So that's my proper adjustment of the standing martingale. Remember, whenever you're using extra pieces of tack or any of the tack that you use on the horse, it's really important that you know how to fit it properly to the horse, how to adjust it safely and for the best effectiveness. And it's important that you know why you're using the piece of tack too. And this is another safety tip brought to you by the Certified Horsemanship Association.